The storm was rolling in fast when Ava Clarke stepped through the iron gates of Blackridge Academy, the military training ground that chewed up dreams and spat out soldiers. Her boots were new, her uniform stiff, and her nerves buzzed like live wires under her skin. The sky above the mountain base was a bruise of purple and gray, thunder growling as if warning her she was entering a different kind of war zone. No one noticed her at first, just another recruit in a sea of fresh faces, but soon whispers began to trail her like smoke. "That's the scholarship cadet," someone murmured. "The civilian girl. Got in because of test scores, not training." The tone was mocking, and Ava caught the smirks from a group of cadets lounging near the obstacle yard. Among them stood Cole Ramsey, tall, square-jawed, eyes bright with arrogance. He was the academy's golden boy, a third-year trainee already treated like a hero. When he noticed her, Cole smiled, the kind that wasn't friendly. "Welcome to the jungle, rookie," he called out. "Hope your brain helps you climb walls." Laughter rippled through his group. Ava didn't reply, just adjusted her backpack and walked past. She'd promised herself she wouldn't let anyone break her on day one. Training started the next morning before dawn. The air was cold enough to bite, and the field lights glared against the fog. Sergeant Huxley, the kind of man who looked carved from stone, paced before the line of cadets. "This academy doesn't care where you came from," he barked. "Only where you end up. Some of you will fail, some will quit, a few might survive." His eyes swept the line, pausing on Ava for half a second longer than necessary. By noon, she understood why. The drills were brutal. Mud, sweat, bruises, every minute a test of strength. Ava struggled but never stopped. She watched how others moved, how they conserved energy, how they breathed through pain. But the older cadets noticed her faltering and found ways to make it worse. Cole led the charge. He'd accidentally bump her during sprints, steal her equipment, or whisper, "You sure you belong here, bookworm?" when the instructors weren't looking. That night, Ava collapsed into her bunk, every muscle screaming. She stared at the ceiling of the dormitory, trying not to let the tears fall. Across the room, laughter erupted again, Cole's group probably mocking her latest stumble. She gritted her teeth. If they wanted a show, she'd give them one. The next week brought a challenge, the Raven Run, a legendary endurance course rumored to break even the best. It wound through miles of forest, cliffs, and traps. Cadets competed in teams, each one led by a senior. Cole was assigned as team leader for Alpha Squad, and Ava, by cruel luck or design, landed on his team. When the announcement was made, Cole gave her a lazy salute. "Don't slow us down, rookie. We run fast, we run hard, and we don't babysit." Ava just nodded. "Then you'd better keep up." It wasn't the reply he expected. A few cadets chuckled. Cole's grin tightened. The morning of the race, fog rolled thick through the forest. The siren blared and the teams took off. Alpha Squad surged ahead under Cole's command, leaping over logs, crawling under wire, scaling walls. Ava kept pace, her breathing steady. She'd been studying the course map for days, memorizing landmarks and shortcuts. She knew something the others didn't. There was a hidden ravine halfway through that could save 10 minutes if you dared the climb. Halfway in, the team hit the swamp sector. Mud swallowed boots. Roots clawed at their legs. Cole barked orders like a king in battle. "Left flank double time. Keep formation." He noticed Ava cutting slightly off route and shouted, "Hey! Stick to the path." But Ava didn't stop. "Trust me," she called back. "There's a better way." "Better way?" He sneered. "You think you know more than me, rookie?" The others hesitated. Cole glared at them. "She's bluffing." "Follow me!" The squad split. Half followed Cole through the swamp. The other half, including Ava, veered toward the ridge she'd spotted. It was steeper but drier. Every muscle burned as they climbed, but when they reached the top, the swamp was far below. And so was Cole's group, bogged down and shouting in frustration. Ava's team hit the checkpoint first. The instructor watching the timer raised an eyebrow. "Didn't expect to see you up here first, Clarke." Ava just smiled, covered in dirt and sweat. Guess rookies read maps too. By the time Cole's half dragged themselves in, they were 20 minutes behind. His jaw clenched when he saw her waiting. "You got lucky," he hissed. "Maybe," she said quietly. "Or maybe I just paid attention." The instructors praised her navigation, but Cole refused to let it go. That night he cornered her in the mess hall, voice low enough not to draw attention. "You made me look bad today." "Don't do that again." Ava stared him down. Then don't underestimate me again. For the first time, Cole didn't have a comeback. But his silence wasn't surrender. It was warning. The next challenge was Simulation Week, a tactical test designed to mimic real combat situations. Teams had to infiltrate a mock enemy base, retrieve intel, and escape without being caught. Points were awarded for stealth, planning, and teamwork. Cole volunteered for team lead again. He wanted redemption. When the teams were announced, Ava's name appeared under his command once more. During the briefing, Cole outlined his plan on the digital board. We move north through the ravine, flank the base, and breach from the west side. Clarke, you're on comms. Just stay quiet and do what you're told. Ava frowned. The west side's heavily guarded in last year's reports. East would be safer, Cole smirked. Reports don't win missions. Action does. No one dared challenge him. He was too respected or feared. Ava bit her tongue, but unease gnawed at her. When night fell, they set out. The forest was silent except for the crunch of boots and the whisper of wind. Ava monitored their position through thermal goggles. Something felt off. Heat signatures on her scanner. More guards than expected, all moving toward the west side. She whispered into her mic. Cole, we've got company ahead. We need to reroute. Negative, he replied. Stay on course. Cole, they're converging. Quiet, Clarke. I've got this. Seconds later, floodlights exploded to life. Sirens blared. Gunfire crackled through the night. The squad dove for cover as paint rounds peppered the trees. Cole's plan had failed spectacularly. They were surrounded. Ava's hands trembled, but her mind raced. Everyone follow me, she yelled, breaking protocol. She led them east through dense brush, using her scanner to dodge patrols. They crawled through mud, scaled a fallen tree, and slipped behind the base undetected. Inside the compound, she found the intel chip in record time. When they regrouped at extraction, Cole was fuming but speechless. The mission report showed Ava's route had saved the entire team. The next morning, the instructors reviewed the footage in front of the class. Cadet Clarke showed initiative under fire, Sergeant Huxley said. Without her, Alpha Squad would have been captured. Cole's face turned crimson. He muttered something under his breath and stormed out. But Ava didn't celebrate. She'd seen something in his eyes, a flash of something darker than embarrassment. That night, as she returned to her locker, she found it wide open. Her gear was gone. A note sat inside, written in block letters. You don't belong here. Her heart pounded. This wasn't just rivalry anymore. It was war. And this time, Ava decided she wouldn't play defense. Ava stood frozen in front of her open locker, her reflection trembling in the dented metal door. The note lay in her palm like a small piece of fire. You don't belong here. The words burned deeper than she wanted to admit. Around her, the dorm was silent, too silent. She knew Cole or one of his loyal cadets had done it. But she also knew reporting it would change nothing. The academy had its unspoken rules. The strong ruled, and the weak endured. She took a slow breath, closed her locker, and whispered to herself, Fine, if this is a game, I'll learn the rules and beat them at their own. Over the next week, she did something unexpected. She kept her head down. When Cole mocked her during drills, she didn't respond. When his group accidentally spilled her meal tray, she simply cleaned it up. She pretended to fade into the background, letting them believe they'd broken her. But beneath that quiet mask, Ava was watching, listening, waiting. Then came the shadow exercise, the Academy's most unpredictable test. It was part survival, part strategy, and part betrayal. Cadets were dropped in the wilderness in separate teams with limited supplies. The mission: locate a hidden extraction point before sunrise. The twist? Only one team could be extracted. The others would be captured or eliminated. It wasn't about running the fastest, it was about thinking the smartest. When the teams were announced, everyone saw it coming. Cole and Ava again. The instructors loved the drama, maybe hoping the tension would break one of them. Cole didn't hide his disdain. You stay out of my way, rookie, he said as they packed. This time I'm in charge and I don't need your little map tricks. Ava smiled faintly. Wouldn't dream of it. The chopper blades roared above the forest canopy as they jumped into the dark. The moment their boots hit the ground, the race began. Cole barked orders, leading the team north toward the river. Ava followed quietly at the back, pretending to study her compass. But she wasn't following his plan. She was forming her own. She'd overheard something earlier that day. The instructors had changed the terrain markers this year. The river route was a decoy. The real extraction point was hidden near the old communications tower, east. If Cole led them north, they'd walk straight into an ambush. Hours passed. The forest grew darker, the temperature dropping fast. Cole's team trudged on, exhausted and confused. "Are you sure this is the right way?" One cadet muttered. Cole snapped, "You questioning me now?" Ava finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. "We've been circling the same ridge. The river's a trap. We need to change direction." Cole's glare could have cut steel. "You think you know better than me again?" "I don't think," she said. "I know," he took a step toward her. "You've done nothing but cause trouble since you got here. And yet," she said softly, "I'm the only reason you still have a team." The words hung heavy in the air. Even his loyal cadets looked uncertain now. Cole's pride couldn't take it. "Fine. You think you're so smart? Take your own route. Let's see who makes it out alive." Ava hesitated. Splitting up was risky, but so was following him. She nodded. "Don't wait for me." She took off east, the forest swallowing her whole. For hours, she navigated by starlight and instinct, trusting her memory of the terrain. She could hear distant shouts. Cole's team had run into something. Maybe the ambush she'd warned them about. She pushed forward, heart pounding, until she saw it. The silhouette of the old tower against the sky. But when she reached it, her blood ran cold. The place was crawling with motion sensors and drones. The extraction point wasn't unguarded. It was a final test. A trap meant to weed out anyone who rushed in without strategy. She crouched behind a boulder, watching the drones sweep the area. Her mind raced. She couldn't brute force this. She needed a distraction. And that's when she heard it, the faint rustle of footsteps. Cole's voice hissed through the dark. "I knew you'd come here." He stepped out of the shadows, mud streaked on his face, fury in his eyes. "Half my team's out because of you." "Because you didn't listen," Ava replied. "You walked right into the ambush." He raised his gun, paint rounds loaded. "This ends now, Clarke. You're done." Ava didn't move. "You pull that trigger, you fail. You'll prove you can't lead. Only bully." For a split second, his face twitched. The arrogance cracked, showing something underneath, fear. Fear of losing the image he'd built. And then the drone lights shifted, locking onto them both. "Move!" Ava shouted. She tackled him behind the rocks just as the drones fired. Paint rounds splattered the ground inches from their heads. Cole gasped, staring at the pattern of shots. "They're guarding every path." Ava nodded, breathless. "That's why we need to go together. You draw their attention. I'll disable the beacon." He looked skeptical. "Why should I trust you?" "Because I don't care about beating you," she said. "I care about surviving." Something flickered in his expression, reluctant respect, maybe. He gave a single nod. "Fine, on 3. Cole sprinted out from cover, yelling, drawing the drones toward him. Ava darted behind the tower, prying open the control panel with her knife. Sparks flew. She rewired the main circuit, praying it would short out the sensors before the drones caught her. The seconds dragged like hours. Finally, the lights flickered and died. The forest went silent. A voice boomed through the speakers above. "Exercise complete. Team Alpha has reached extraction." Ava collapsed onto the ground, mud mixing with sweat and relief. Cole walked over slowly, breathing hard. For once, he didn't look angry. He looked human. "You saved my life," he said quietly. She smirked faintly. "You're welcome." They rode back in silence. At the debrief, the instructors played the footage on the big screen. It showed Ava's calm under pressure, her decision-making, her courage. Then it showed Cole, hesitant, reactive, saved only because of her plan. Sergeant Huxley turned to the room. "That's leadership. Not ego, not pride, but adaptability. Remember that." He nodded toward Ava. "Cadet Clarke just earned top marks in strategy." The room burst into whispers. Cole's reputation had just been rewritten in front of everyone, and Ava's had just been born. Later that night, Cole found her sitting alone on the training field, staring up at the stars. He walked over, kicking the dirt. "You know," he said, "you made quite the comeback." Ava smiled without looking at him. "Funny thing about mistakes," she said. "They teach faster than victories." He chuckled softly, a sound she never thought she'd hear from him. "Guess I was the rookie after all." She glanced at him, half smiling. "Took you long enough to figure that out." They sat in silence for a moment, two soldiers under the same broken sky. The rivalry that had once burned between them was gone, replaced by something else: understanding. When morning came, the academy buzzed with talk of the rookie who outsmarted the golden boy. Ava didn't bask in it. She just kept training, kept learning, because she knew real strength wasn't about outshining others, it was about outlasting them. And Cole? He never mocked her again. In fact, during the next round of evaluations, he requested her as his second-in-command. Some said it was guilt. Others said it was strategy. But those who'd been there knew. It was respect. Ava Clarke had come to Blackridge Academy as a mistake, an outsider, a name whispered in doubt. But she left as a lesson written in grit and silence. Never underestimate the quiet ones, because sometimes the biggest threats don't shout. They wait, they learn, and when the time comes, they turn the tables. In the end, everyone at Blackridge learned what Ava already knew. Pride can blind you, but humility sharpens your sight. And in a world built on competition, it's not the loudest who win. It's the ones who listen, adapt, and never stop fighting, even when no one believes they can.